Hey parents, welcome to the Mommy Pod, where we keep it real about parenthood. The joy, the chaos, and everything in between. I'm your host, a single mom, educator, and everyday woman learning to give herself grace while chasing her dreams. Whether you're folding laundry, stuck in traffic, or sneaking in 5 minutes of peace, this space is your reminder that you're not alone. And you're doing better than you think. So, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab a drink, take a deep breath, and let's get into today's episode. Get started. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Mommy Pod, and it is a summer Friday, so my kids are home, so you might hear a little bit of Daniel Tiger in the background. But today we are joined by Lauren, a mom, television host, author, and intuitive human design business guide. Before starting her business, Lauren spent 10 years working in high-risk OB ultrasound, supporting families through pregnancy and motherhood. Her own experiences with postpartum depression, a difficult divorce, and custody journey, and several life-changing moments transformed how she understood healing, identity, and emotional well-being. Lauren today has helped women heal emotional patterns, regulate their nervous systems, and rediscover who they are. They can create healthier relationships with themselves and that they can show up more fully for their families and their lives. Welcome to the Mommy Pod.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited to chat with you.
Thank you. Before we get into your work,
Sure.
who is Lauren beyond being a mom, a host, an author, and a business guide?
That's a really good question. I'm just a human living my, experience here and learning the lessons that I need to learn, that I chose to learn, that I chose to be here. And I'm simply like every other woman. I'm no different. I'm no different than any other mom. We just have different experiences, different journeys. And I just truly think that all of us humans are no matter what you believe or what you subscribe to, I just feel like at the end of the day, I'm a huge believer on we all matter and it doesn't matter about different beliefs. And I feel like coming back into, that oneness that we all came from, no matter what beliefs I think that, are portrayed to us and wherever you are on your journey, I think that at the end of the day, I always say this, we all pull our pants up the same way. So we're all the same, just living different experiences. So I'm no different than any other mom that's listening to this. Maybe if dads are listening, I'm no different. Then I might look different, obviously, but at the end of the day, I feel like we all have, we're all connected soul wise, and we just have different things we have to learn. So
Yeah,
that's
I
a little
like
bit about at the end of the day, I'm just a human. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Yeah, I do think we are all so much similar than the world is trying to make us seem. I feel like
Right.
there's a lot of division going on, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you spent 10 years working in high risk OB ultrasound. What did that
Yeah.
experience teach you about pregnancy, motherhood, fear, and emotional support? I think that's a lot in one question.
Yeah. So I think what it taught me was, or what I know it taught me was that before I became a mom, I could experience what other moms, because I started out my career in ultrasound doing high risk. Then I left the high risk practice that I was in, and then I did general. So I did every type of ultrasound possible besides echo. That's a different journey, which is the heart. Echo just means heart. So I did not experience that type of ultrasound, except for in babies. I did do baby echoes. Um, but fast forward, I got the whole perspective of the ultrasound world. And I just always knew deep down I was here to help people. And I just didn't really know how to help myself at that time. So again, I had to go on a journey of figuring out my stuff and I'm not sure if we can cuss on here, so I'm like stuff. Um, that I had to, going through it, you know, obviously had to move through different layers of my victim mentality, my ego, that type of the normal things that humans have to go through. But I knew that my purpose was here to help the collective with, everybody else. Um, kind of join back together like humanitarian. I'm a big humanitarian. Like I'm a huge believer that all of us matter. And if I didn't go through that journey, um I don't know if I can't even speak to that because I don't know if I would my experiences gave me a humbled approach from the way that I look at things now. So it gave me compassion, love, and empathy where you know sure, I'm an empath. Sure, I'm intuitive. We all are, right? But it's like sometimes your experiences really shape you into, oh, I need to humble myself. So I think through my ultrasound journey, I really was able to have that compassion with myself being going through my own high risk pregnancy journey. That I just had that knowledge to, just really be kind of lean into the fear of what I think we all have deep down inside, but a lot of us don't talk about it. So I think it's, full circle moments have been happening. I've left that career. I guess it's been 6 years, maybe 7 years now. So, that's when I had many spiritual awakenings, but since then, I'm starting to see, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, I needed to know that because that's why that happened. And just being able to have that compassion and for people that have lost babies. I was the one that found it, or I'm the one that had to be there to hold space for people when the doctor was telling them, like that type of stuff. That I didn't myself lose a baby, but I had to experience what it felt like for loss. And I've had tons of loss in my life, but that grief and I was always, I do remember when was working with some patients, I almost called them clients, but the patients that they would request me because of my compassion, because of my love, because of it was in my mind, I'm thinking I'm just doing their ultrasound, I'm doing my job, but it was deeper than that. They could feel that. And I think that level of and I think a lot of the people that I worked with also felt that, but you also have to meet the part your company standards and numbers, and it's like I couldn't balance that anymore, which is the reason why I left, because I was just nudged like I can't do that. I started to hate my job, and that's not the reason why I started. So I was like, okay, I think this is a sign. Plus, going through all of that, I went through my divorce, my custody, all of that, my, navigating my own motherhood and all of that stuff. So I think it was, I was hurting, and I consciously didn't realize I was hurting other people in the process. And I didn't want to bleed on people that, had their own journey to go through. So yeah, I think that answers your question altogether.
Yeah, that's important to realize, like when you're hurting and you could
Yeah.
possibly be hurting other
Yeah.
people, and to take a step back. Good for you for doing that. That takes a
Yeah.
lot. And it
Yeah.
takes a lot to keep going. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
for those that have to keep going and deal with their pain, it takes a lot to do.
Yes.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it takes a lot to be a woman. It's hard.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you add mom and responsibility, and you add this and you add that. And it's just like, and that's
Have you ever wondered why certain routines, workouts, schedules, or productivity types just seem to work for everyone else, but they leave you exhausted? That's where the Integrated Living Human Design Program comes in. This program helps you understand how your energy naturally works, how you make decisions when you're most productive, and how to build routines that actually fit your life. And although it was created through the Mommy Pod community, this program is not just for moms. It's for moms, dads, single parents, co parents, caregivers, and anyone that feels like they're constantly trying to keep up with a life that wasn't designed around them. Inside this program, we explore human design energy management, movement, nutrition, daily routines, and practical ways to reduce burnout and create more balance. Because being a good parent shouldn't require completely losing yourself. You don't need another routine telling you to wake up earlier or work harder. You need to understand when and how your body works best. Ready to stop forcing and start aligning? Explore the Integrated Living Human Design Program from the Mommy Pod and start building a life that works with you, not against you. The Mommy Pod, because we bend, but we do not break.
Other thing that I'm really a big advocate about is that, and I sometimes through my journey, even now, current moment, I forget that I have to remember to put myself first because nobody else is going to.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a way that is like, my husband, I think of the TikTok trend, and my now husband, and he's always like, I'm your husband. Don't be saying now husband, But, I'm finally choosing myself and continuing to choose myself consciously every single day that, I don't attract partners that would abuse me and I would allow to abuse me and that whole cycle. And I'm not saying that the abuse is anybody's fault, but I am saying that you play a part in what situation you put yourself in and allow. And I'm not saying that trauma is also your fault. However, the healing part is. And I think that you can't hear that until you're ready to hear that. And I know that was for me when one of my mentors had said that to me. And I was like, so you're saying that all of this is my fault? And she goes, part of it is. And until I allowed that to integrate, it never really stuck until I'm like, oh, this is my part. Now I'm going to walk away and still continue my part, but never be responsible for the other part? So I do say that a lot is, you know, trauma is never your fault. The abuse is never your fault, but the healing is your responsibility.
That's really good. That's going to be our quote for the episode.
I think it's really powerful. I think
Yeah.
that I don't know, I can't say that somebody's told me that. Maybe it was a mentor, maybe I learned it around the way, but I've trusted those words and I've tried it when my ego kept saying that's not true, that's not true, but it is true. It is 100% true. And I think wherever you are in your journey, just try to integrate that to truth, to be like, I'm allowing this to happen because we are. I allowed everything in my life, and then until I don't allow anything in my life. So it's you, and you are the creator of your reality. So, regardless of trauma, because all of us, I mean, I can speak to that all day, right? All of us experience trauma, if it's just heartbreak or if it's something, you know, big and catastrophic and traumatizing. It all feels the same to our physical body.
Yeah. And we carry that
Yeah.
unless we let it go.
Yeah.
Excuse me. How did divorce and the custody process affect your identity and your nervous? Ate a chip and it's your identity and your nervous system.
So the way that it affected my identity and my nervous system was, it's like if you think of like so I'm going to relate it to like a telephone wire. And it's like if it's like a hot wire and it's like you touch it and it blows up. That's literally what the metaphor that I can explain how that happened. However, that had to happen so I can really get to, through my conditioning, through all of my own BS that I carry around, I'm talking ancestral, I'm talking generational, I'm talking all of the things, all past lives, all of that. Whatever you believe in, or if you don't even know any of that, it's a line of stuff, that we all carry. And, I just kind of was like, I'm not continuing this to my child. I'm not continuing this to my daughter. So in hindsight, I didn't realize that was what was happening because I couldn't be in a toxic, abusive relationship. I'm not saying that my parents, I watched my dad hit my mom. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is my parents were both unemotionally available. So it's like, the awareness piece of like they were just doing the best they could with what they had, and that got carried into me. And then it's just like, wait a minute, something's not adding up. And then when my mom questioned me about why do you keep attracting these people that abuse you, and I'm like, that's a really good question, Mom, and I don't know how to answer that. Like I don't really know, uh until I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself. And then I realized, oh, this is a pattern. And I'm very good at pattern recognition. I feel like all of us humans are very good with patterns. We know what's safe, we know what's not, and we always pick the unsafe option. And I don't know. And that's just, again, we're trying to survive and we're trying to change and we're trying to do what we need to do to survive. And, life right now is not easy. And I just felt like, through all of that, there was a dear friend of mine, Daniel, had said to me, Lauren, if life was easy, what's the purpose of living? And it's really stuck with me after he said that, because I'm like, you know what? Through all of the crap that we go through or we put ourselves through or whatever's going on in the conditioning, that all of us as humans would have no purpose in living if we didn't have life lessons. And if it was like peaceful and rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, like that's not reality. And it's never going to be. So I don't subscribe to any of that, but it's like we all have life lessons here. And if you can look at it from what is this teaching me versus, oh, this is happening to me, I feel like that mindset shift of like, what's the opportunity? Like when you're going through a storm or something like that. And I think that that's actually what it was shown to teach me. Like something bad has to blow up until the storm has to pass. Obviously you have to regulate yourself. I didn't know what any of that meant when I started all of this. And I'm like, if somebody would just have said to me, Lauren, maybe you should work on your nervous system. Maybe they did and I didn't hear it, and they probably could have. And, like you say something to somebody and you can resonate with it, but maybe they can't hear it. Like they physically don't understand what you're saying, or maybe it's like a frequency thing. And I believe in energy, everything's energy. So I think that that's where the disconnect is. Like I could physically say something to you or to somebody listening, and they're like, what is she talking about? Well, I don't even know what she's talking about. Like that's the frequency, and it's not good or bad. It just is. And I think that we are all very high vibrational, our souls are very high vibrational beings, but we're in these, I call them meat suits, and they're low vibration. So again, you're constantly, you can't always be high vibe, you can't always be positive. Like that's not the human experience. Like it just isn't. And I just think that I'm here to help other people understand that you are, we're all, whatever you believe in, we're all spiritual beings living a human experience, and the human experience is low vibrational. Like it's dense, it's 3D, it's not where we all came from, wherever you came from. So I think understanding that and having that perspective, you're able to give yourself more grace as a mom, or a parent. You're able to have more compassion and love, because
Mhm.
at our core, we're all love. So I think it's getting through that place is, once I understood that and I really understood what it felt like through my experiences, through major dark, the depths of like whatever,
Mhm.
like you're just like, I can't get out of this hole,
Yeah.
and I think once I had to feel all of that, and I resisted it for so long. When I started to allow the feeling to just feel it, to heal it, you can't go around it. Trust me, I've tried to go around it and bypass, and I'm going to do this detour. And it's like, okay, here I am back in the same place I was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, whatever it is. And it's because I was trying to do the easy way. Right? Like we want it to feel easy, and it's just like, it's not supposed to be. So it's leaning into that fear, leaning into that resistance, I think can do yourself some, it really can do yourself some good. And then just experience the moments through it, because that's all we really have is moments.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's jump into human design. I'm
Sure.
so interested in that. I just In February, we had a guest on, Amy Dave, who's a physician assistant, and she
Okay.
spoke about how you can sync your well track your cycle, but
Hmm.
um and you have to cater to your body. Your body goes through different phases each month, and you have to kind of know what phase you're in order to eat the right foods, or in order to rest, or if you need or use the energy that you're going to have that week,
Yeah.
etc. So then I was thinking, what if you combine that with your human design? Because I found out about human design a couple months ago, and then
Hmm.
we came up with an integrated program. It's one of our courses where you can learn about your human design and sync it with your cycle. And
Oh, I love
then,
that.
yeah. So how did you first discover human design? And yeah, I'll let you answer that one first.
Yeah.
Your story.
So the human design kind of came in my life about, I want to say, I've always been obsessed with astrology ever since I was very, very, very young. So I've always kind of been in that world. It popped in my, you know, world probably like I want to say about 12 years ago. And then from that, I it was like did my chart, was like what the hell is this, and then I was like okay, nope, and I just kind of like did away with it. Now I was scrolling on Instagram as one does about 9 years ago at this point, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do my chart because I tried everything. Nothing was working. My astrology was starting to be like, this doesn't make any sense, which is Western. I've always followed Western. Now I'm very into Vedic, which feels more, I don't know nothing about it. I'm not a Vedic astrologer. However, I do know a Vedic astrologer that I follow, and a couple of my mentors also follow Vedic, and it makes just so much perfect sense. And I'm like, well, where was this about 20 years ago? But anyway, it was around. I just didn't know about it. And it's just through understanding now what I do with my own clients using the tool of, and I always say the tool of human design because I don't ever want people to place yourself in boxes. I know I've had experience when I used to make it as an excuse. Well, I'm a projector. I need rest. I can't do it like the rest of the world, all that shit. And I was like, this is complete crap. And that's me not doing what I need to do and avoiding something, you know? So again, I kind of had that experience as well. So I don't allow anybody to do that in my world because it's like, no, 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 you can't do that. I mean, you can do that, but you can't be doing it with me because like you can't. We're going to get through this, you know? So with human design, I I say now it's like for me and what it's done for me the last 9 years. I don't claim to be a certified reader. I never will be a certified reader. I don't think that I need to get a certification for something that I intuitively read and that I can look at somebody's chart and I'm listening to them and they're like, this is what's going on in my life. And immediately I know exactly what's happening. This is what we're going to do. If it's your business, if it's healing, if it's this, if it's that, if it's parenting, whatever subject you need, I can just look at somebody's human design chart and understand, well, this is the energy, this is the block. And, people are like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I'm looking at your chart. That's how I know, and it's like, as I said, it's intuitively like it just comes to me. And I just trust that what it's not about me, it's about them. So like I'm just trusting and giving the message wherever they need it. So that's how I use human design. I do not use it like the rest of the world and or the rest of the human design community, because I feel like non-judgment, but I feel like the human design community only look at things through the lens of human design, not as, oh, they're a human. Oh, they need to learn this lesson. Oh, they need to do this. Oh, they need to do that. They look at it as this is who I am. My human design, and I don't like that crap. Like I just feel like you are limiting yourself and putting yourself in a box, just like people do in astrology. Oh, I'm an Aquarius. Oh, I'm a Pisces. Oh, that's just how I am. So there's no room for expansion, integration, or like evolution. And that's the purpose of all of us here. We're here to learn lessons. We're here to clear out karma, and we're here to learn and grow. So that's a little bit about how I integrate human design and how I came about it. But I used it for a very long time as a navigation tool. And where am I going? How can I trust myself? Because at the end of the day, when all of this happened, I didn't trust myself and I was constantly seeking answers without my with everybody else. And I already knew the answer within myself. And if I just listened to myself, like quieted my mind to listen to myself, I already knew the answer. So it's like a personal navigation system. Like your intuition, everybody has one. Some people are not born, like, I don't, I hear some people are like, oh, I'm intuitive. And I'm like, well, we all have a gut. We all have an intuition. You know, you're not yours. You just know how to listen to yours and maybe I don't or whatever, so show me, so something like that. Like it's kind of like, I don't really like the way that the spiritual world does all of that stuff, but that's here nor there. So it's pretty much how I can self-trust. And it's how I learn to self-trust and how I teach everybody else. Like there's so many different tools. And it's like at the end of the day, I believe that if you trust yourself, you don't need any of that. But it's like, how do I get there? And that was kind of like the stepping stones and a very short Cliff Notes version of how I got there. So I don't know
Awesome.
if that answers your question, but I hope it did.
Yes, and answered a few questions too. Thank you. Um, so how can understanding our human design help us make better, healthier decisions? We can use that as a
That's a good
tool.
question. Yeah. So when you use human design, there's three main, I call them foundations. So it's going to be your energy type, your strategy, and your authority. So your authority is going to be, I'm just going to make this very general, like of what it is, because there's different types, there's different energy types. Everybody can be different. It's just basically how you listen to yourself. So how you make the right decisions. And your strategy is how, if you think of like sales strategy or like for instance, generators and manigens in human design, they're here to respond. So again, if you're a business owner or if you are just in a relationship, if you're constantly not listening, you have nothing to respond to, you're not, listening to yourself or whatever the case is for you, then how are you responding? Like, same thing with an emotional authority. Like, how are you making life decisions? Are you making them emotional? I sure was. And I'm an emotional authority. So, you know, that's not how you're supposed to be making decisions. So it's like, oh, I'm supposed to do the complete opposite. However, when I was living in my mom didn't teach me human design. She didn't teach me astrology. It just kind of popped up and I was looking at it in encyclopedia books. I didn't have the internet. So I was reading encyclopedia books and like at the library, looking at planet books and, learning about astrology that way. I self-taught myself pretty much my whole life. So it's just something that I've always done. So, when it comes to understanding how you make decisions, I used human design to be, making sure, am I making an emotional decision? And if I am, what do I need to do different? I know I need to wait to respond. I need to wait to, like waiting for the invitation is also my strategy. So, because I'm a projector. So it's like, just understanding that, oh, I need to pause and maybe it's for 2 seconds and let me feel into that, not let me think into that. That's just, they're all different types, but it helps you not overthink decisions. It helps you know if I make this decision, I'm listening to my intuition. This is at the end of the day, taking a human design aside, I know that if I make this decision because of my experiences, that I know the road I'm going down. It's coming. I know. So I think to answer circle back to answer your question, it helps you tap into self-trust at the end of the day. And I think that we need that and for ourselves, especially because no matter where you are in your journey, you're always going to have a lesson of, do I really trust myself? Or that little voice inside your head, the mom guilt or the parent guilt or whoever's listening, um, are you doing the right thing? Am I doing enough? Like, like, yeah, I am. And a little tip that I want to say to people is because I just kind of experienced this like a month ago myself, is that little voice inside my head, which was not mine. It was my conditioning from my mom, said, "Are you sure you can do this?" And I know that I worked on my confidence and I can do this. And um, I'm newly transitioning to be a TV host, and I had that voice come up, and one of my mentors said to me, "Well, what would you tell a little kid if they told you, are you sure you can do this?" And I was like, I would look at them and tell them, "Well, that's okay. You can have an opinion too." And then, like, that voice was like gone and it hasn't showed back up. And that's it, because I'm not allowing that voice to continue to say, "Are you sure you're okay? You sure you can do this?" Because that self-doubt it'll just kind of go away. So I just felt like I needed to say that. So that's
Yeah, that's
a
great.
tip
Thank
that
you.
can other moms can kind of, you can't just tell yourself to shut up. You can't just tell yourself to, I used to say, oh, just, the voices, or like what I would, if I would like, because it's us versus us,
Mhm.
I would subconsciously not realize that like I'm still inviting them back until I actually told myself that, because I've done a lot of programming and subconscious work and all that stuff. So, I don't think we're consciously aware that our ego is there to protect us, but it's also our our biggest critic. And it's like you need to figure that out, because if you're blaming everybody else, it's not everybody else, it's you.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think that is important for us to all know. And I think we all have that, whether it's a mom or an aunt or somebody voice
Yeah,
in our head.
absolutely.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
know. It's not
It's
fair.
good and bad all at the same time, but it's
Yeah,
not good and bad. It's just perspective, and it just is. And you get to decide if you're going to let it control your life
right.
versus not. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you say to the mom who feels like she has been surviving for so long that she no longer knows who she is?
That's a really good question. Um, I think I think what I would tell that mom would be, the version of you that's still struggling right now isn't necessarily the version of you that is going to exist forever. And I think some of the hardest lessons of my life became the seasons that taught me the most about who I actually truly am, and not what my conditioning told me, or what my conditioning still tells me, because I'm sure there's still layers. There's always going to be some layers, and who I truly am to my core. And I think just keep choosing yourself, and I keep healing, and remember that every time you choose different in those moments, that's not only going to change your life, but it's going to show your children.
Living with ADHD means cleaning and organizing can feel impossible, but it doesn't have to. My book, Living with ADHD Cleaning and Organizing, is built for real life with step by step systems, ADHD friendly routines, and realistic hacks. It helps you create calm in your space without the overwhelm. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Whether you're a busy mom, busy parent, student, or professional, this book will help you reset your home and your mind.
And your family what's actually really possible for them.
All right, I would love to send you my program to see, and I'll send it to you for free, with, of course, with the code.
Yeah.
And then you can see if it like makes sense because, yeah, I feel like it connects beautifully with the what you do. And I created it because I wanted parents who were tired and forcing themselves to do things, to
Hmm.
like doing routines and stuff,
Hmm.
to find out what they need naturally and how they need to function naturally.
I
Inside the
love that.
program, we explore human design, decision making, energy management, biological and menstrual cycle rhythms. They can skip that if that doesn't apply. Um,
Right.
movement, nutrition, and realistic scheduling. And
I love that.
the goal isn't to create a perfect routine, it's to create a sustainable life that supports the whole person, not only the parent, employee, caregiver, or business owner.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a few closing questions. Um, what is something you wish every mother knew about healing?
Hmm. I'm just gonna keep it. I think I'm just gonna keep it really short and sweet that no matter what you're going through, we all can love our children very deeply, but still choosing yourself in motherhood is actually healing versus what could happen if you continue to dysregulate yourself, you're dysregulating your kids. I think choosing yourself again is not only going to change your life, but the way that you parent and then what you pass down to your actual kids.
What's one small action that our listeners can take today? Yeah, like in general, if they feel stuck.
Well, they can reach out to me. My inbox is always open. I'm always happy to answer any questions, give any guidance that I feel that they may need. Um, and also, I just feel like, if you want change, you don't have to change everything right away. But I think one small action, one day at a time, when you look back at your life over, let's just say 6 months, it's going to be different. But you have to choose to want to change for yourself first. Um, you can do it for your kids first and then yourself, but you always have to come back to yourself. I know I did it for my daughter first, and then I realized this is for me. And then that's, how that goes. So I think just starting something different, not all the same things at once, but just starting. If you want change and you don't want your life to look like it looks like right now, then one day at a time, change something different that you need to change. And then you'll look back at your life 6 years later, 5 years later, 6 months later, whatever, 20 years later, and you're like, wow, I did that. And give yourself that credit because you did that. Nobody else, you did it.
I love that. Thank you. And can you please let our listeners know where they can find you and how they can reach out for that help?
Sure. I'll make sure that you have my link tree, which has all of my links, because I'm on all the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all that. All the links will be there. And anybody and everybody can send me a message. There. And you also can find me on my podcast, which is called Enlightened Misfits Podcast. I have so many guest conversations. I have so many, experts explaining all the things spirituality. There's no one size fits all in spirituality. Like there's, whatever you need, and you're a podcaster. You can go check me out there. I have more raw, real content in my podcast. I talk a lot about, what I physically go through with the whatever guest is interviewing. So I kind of share my life there more than I do on social media. So you can find that on my podcast. And I'm not sure when this is going to be um, aired, but you can also find my new TV show on newrealitytv.com called The Enlightened Misfits. And I'll have guest experts over there too as well. So there's a lot
Um,
you can get a hold of me anywhere.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I am
Yeah.
going to put your link tree in the show notes. So they'll be able to click on that and find you. Before we go, I just want to say thank you. The Mommy Pod is built in the middle of real life. Work, kids, laundry, rebuilding, and dreaming. And every time you listen, share, or support what we create here, it truly matters. If this episode spoke to you, one of the best ways to keep this podcast going is by supporting our Mommy Pod products. From our children's books and activity books to our calming sprays and digital downloads designed for moms and parents and families. Everything you purchase goes directly back into keeping the show alive. And if you can't purchase right now, sharing this episode with another parent means just as much. Thank you for being here.